My name is Stacy Thompson. My title is Professor in the English department, and the course we're talking about is English 210, which is Intro to Critical Studies. The course is it's a core class in English, and so the idea is it's an introduction to the majors. So each one is fairly unique to the person who's teaching it. So each section is going to be different. You're not going to get the same content necessarily across sections. In my own sections of 210, the objective is basically to introduce students to about 250 concepts that are used in literary studies or cultural studies or critical studies. Critical studies would be the overall category. So the idea is what I try to do is think up different pedagogical ways of communicating those concepts. And the concepts, I literally give it to them as sentences. So one of them will be psychoanalytic, and it's the aim of life is death. And then we talk about examples, what it means, what it looks like in film, what it looks like in a poem, what have you. So honestly, the objective is sort of maybe 250 fairly discrete concepts that I hope that they can take away. They won't take away a full 250, obviously, but maybe they'll remember 15, 20, 25, and be able to apply them to a variety of cultural texts. And hopefully their own lives, their own lived experience. They're not concrete objectives in the sense that they have to walk away, students need to walk away with these 250 concepts. I mean, nobody's going to take that much from one class, I don't think. But I guess just in terms of pedagogy, it's fairly simple. It's 3 essays in which students pick some concepts that make sense to them and apply them to texts that interest them. One of the concepts is that it's the diversions that matter. It's not all this stuff that we're saying in between. It's actually the stuff that you accidentally say along the side. But to be a little more concrete about this, what we were doing was a pretty fundamental exercise for that class, which is I was having them work in pairs and then talk to me about how they could apply ideas that we were talking about, specific concepts, to their own lived experience and to a film that we just watched called Suture, a 1993 film. So the way it fits in is the way most classes fit in. The example is the kind of foundational heuristic, the foundational piece of pedagogy for me is the example. So the point is, here's the idea, how do we find examples of it? One of the objectives, of course, would be to critique the objectives themselves, to have the students become skeptical of the idea that there are objectives that they're necessarily going to learn. On the one hand, I don't want to nail it down entirely. I don't know what people will take away entirely. And I'm not interested in knowing absolutely what people take away. It always surprises me, I have to admit, because people will contact me years later, sometimes, sometimes, and say, oh, you were talking about this, or in the class you said this, and then this happened to me last week, and I made this connection, and I think, all right, so that's what you took away. That works for me. Of course, at a sort of fundamental level, I would like students, and this sounds very old-fashioned, but I would like them to take away not just a way of thinking, which is what we're supposed to say. Oh, a process, you're supposed to take away a process, a way of formulating questions or something like that. No, I actually want content. I'd like students to take away 15 ideas that make sense of parts of the world that they didn't, or parts of their experience that they couldn't conceptualize before, that they couldn't put into conceptual frameworks before. What those 15 are, I don't know. I think it depends on the person. We have 250, and they range from my own personal investments in Marxism, in psychoanalysis, in feminism, but they range across disability studies, trans studies, feminism. Well, I think I already mentioned that. The concepts are drawn from a wide variety of philosophical and theoretical fields. So my hope is, here are 250, I hope you take away 15. That would be great. I hope that 15 of them make you see parts of the world in different ways. How exactly, I don't know.